playing softly. In a minute, I'm just going to start playing softly, but then when it looks like, give me the nod, and I'll do the intro, and we'll get into it. Shabbat shalom. How are you? I'm good. How about you? Good to see you. That was fun the other night. Yes, it was really nice. What a nice. Yeah, I just got a tunnel egg, so they, my iPad, yeah. Right? I think we all should. Easier than a bunch of papers. Oh my gosh. Oh, how wonderful. And it doesn't make any noise. But the best thing is my pedal here. The rest. Oh, modern technology. It's amazing. Impressive. That's right. We can't lick our fingers anymore. You're right. The pages.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Okay, no. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Awesome. Thank you. We are going to be on bracketed page 128 in your prayer book. It is the book, the smaller of the two books that would be in front of you. It says Mishkan Tefillah on the front of it. Once you have figured out which book you're in, you're going to have to figure out which page numbers to use. And we use the ones in brackets, which you will get used to, I promise. The very top of bracketed page 128.
Hallelujah.
are continuing on bracketed pages 138 and 139 as we continue to welcome Shabbat while welcoming the Sabbath bride. Try sing with us. It'll be more fun, I promise. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor vedibor Sanctuary, I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and face the entrance to our sanctuary. Wherever you are, whether you're home or with friends or family, I invite you also to rise in body or in spirit and face the entrance to the place you've made your prayer space this evening. Boi v'shalom ateret balo gam besimcha Bracketed page 142.
Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitem leshalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
For the many members of our community who are joining us on live control, two things. If you haven't said hello yet and wished each other a Shabbat Shalom, please do. Helps us to know who's here, especially at different points in our service. Just hello in the chat works, Shabbat Shalom, something like that. And also, if you're wanting to write in the chat and you already have wished each other a Shabbat Shalom, please start thinking about and then writing down the blessings that you are excited to share with us that we will use to help fill up our Kos Kiddush as we sanctify Shabbat in just a few minutes. But first, here we are going to light our Shabbat candles. The words for this, the song we sing beforehand and the blessing are on bracketed page 120. And to help light our candles this evening, we invite down there to meet me Gemma Mendelsberg and Tristan Neely and Lila Nowak and Annabelle Noe.
Oh, hear our prayer, we sing to you. Be gracious to the ones we love, and bless them with goodness and mercy and peace. Oh, hear our prayer to you. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Let us light these lights and see the way to you, and let us say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Ari and Nyla, if you would join me up here. And while these awesome young women come to oh, I know, it's April Fool's, and so Grayson's coming and somebody else, because these are families who love April Fools. No, but really. Are you not coming? You don't want to lead Kiddush? Yeah, okay. I know. I'm a rabbi who's welcome to lean into all the awkward, but April Fools, I gotta say, is not my thing. But they know that. It's okay. And we love them. Okay, so actually, wait, come here. First, we're gonna share blessings. You guys just come, get yourselves comfy, Debbie Becker says Shabbat Shalom from Valley, because she had shoulder surgery again this week, and it went well. It's just gonna be a long recuperation. What do you got, team? We're going to imagine that we're going to keep filling up our Kiddush cup, which we use this juice to sanctify Shabbat. It's really a vehicle. We could use lots of things as the vehicle. So what's the blessing we might share this week to celebrate Shabbat? Nyla becoming bat mitzvah. And Ari becoming bat mitzvah. Excellent. Family being here. Jackie? We had an in-person women's Seder this week, which over 80 people, and it was awesome. I will say for me, one of the strange things about the women's Seder is I wasn't wearing a talit, because you would not wear a talit while leading a Seder, but you know that I play with my tzitzit all the time, because I am convinced that these are the original fidgets. And Tzitzit are like, the origin of them in the book of Numbers is all about drawing us to commandments, to mitzvot, the way that we take care of. I think that this very cool, that the original fidget, says Rabbi Steiner, you heard it here first, draws us right to the way we care for each other and our responsibility for each other in the world. Anyway, I wasn't wearing a talis, and I had no tzitzit to play with, and I really did not know what to do with my hands. So the Women's Seder was awesome, and I'm really glad to have my talis back on. Good. What else is good? Tell me something good, Janet.
It was the most incredible rainbow over 208 tonight.
Cool. Janet says it was an incredible rainbow over 208 tonight. Sorry, I'm just repeating for our friends at home. Good.
I wanted to stop and take a picture.
Wanting to take pictures. Now, hopefully you remember it in your, picture of your, Joan Callan is back. That's a blessing.
That's the blessing. I'm very glad that I survived a really rock and roll plane ride.
Oy. A hard plane ride. We're glad you're back and safely. Good. Friends. Your niece made regionals in gymnastics. That's cool. Congratulations, niece. I hope you have fun while competing, which is the most important part in my mind. Okay, I'll read some of our blessings here. Amazing women who came together on Wednesday night for the Seder. Molly Good got accepted into 10 of her 11 colleges. Mazel tov to Molly. The Keels report from Colorado that a foot of snow fell last night and it has already melted because it's Colorado. Say a lot of love for the Seder here in this wonderful world of life control. Okay, good. So you guys can all keep. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
My birthday's coming up.
When is your birthday? That is so cool. I love birthdays. And if you know me, you know that is true. I'm very excited. How old will you be? 6 is a terrific age. At least it was when it passed in our house. Okay, hi. Ari, just come. You guys can take your masks off. You gals can take your masks off up here. You don't have to worry about wearing this right now. So, among our many blessings this week are you both. Would you like to take your masks off while you chant Kiddush? Of course you would. Awesome. So, I'm going to give you 2 gifts. They are really from the men's club and the sisterhood, and they are a Chanukiah and a Kiddush cup. And I often make a joke that they maybe won't be your most favorite gifts you receive this weekend. But last week, Stephen Becker, if you're watching, Stephen, I did read your comment, said in the live control comment that they may be the gifts, I don't remember how he said it much more eloquently than this, but the most long-lasting, the gifts that you have for the longest, that really stick with you longest. We hope that as you grow into Jewish adults, even more than you already have, you will use these ritual items from the synagogue and remember that they tether you to us, just symbolically, that you are always tethered to us, no matter where you are. You will always be home here, and we are so proud of you. Okay, now I'll just talk to you for a second myself. I think when we paired you, we knew you were going to be a good pair together, but we probably didn't know exactly how nicely your souls and spirits would find each other here on the Bima. Nyla, what I have learned about you, just in sort of observing you and preparing with you for today, in addition to the fact that we share a love of many similar colors, including purple, and she is like channeling every 13-year-old girl's desire to be the awesomest in all these mermaid colors all the time, is that you are one of the most quietly determined people that I think we have the pleasure of getting to know. You just take on the challenges before you when they're important to you, and you rock them. And you don't let other people see whether it's easy or hard. It's not the important part. What we get to see is your commitment to accomplishing the goals that you set and like really succeeding beautifully. You also have a surprisingly hysterical side that sort of jumps out of nowhere sometimes with like a very sly smile and a sarcastic joke, and that is a lot of fun to hang out with. Ari, as I said to you during your rehearsal this morning, I think your superpower is your ability to be where you are. And also somehow to like know always what's happening around you. You have this like sense about you that is very connected and also very calm. I think that calmness this morning, that focus while trying to chant Torah over the sound of many, many under 2-year-olds and their very loud caregivers, was actually not that you were blocking them out, but that you knew exactly what was happening, and that allowed you to focus in on where you are. That this ability to sort of to be there and to just know everywhere else what's happening and also where you need to be is a skill and a sense about you that will kind of take you anywhere. And it's been awesome to get to know both of you through your writing and your questions, even through your computer screens over these last 8 months. And we are so excited that you are ours, and then we get to celebrate you this Shabbat together. So Nyla and Ari are going to lead us in Kiddush on page 123. And we are going to rise and not join in singing until the very last line of Kiddush. Okay, I'm going to count you until you're both like that. Ready? Wait, hold on. Your hair is going to make it fuzzy. There you go. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava, uvratzon, hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh, v'reishit.
Ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra e kodesh, zecher l'tziat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'harta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, v'ahava uratzon, hinhaltanu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Beautiful. You guys can take your books and your masks and go sit and relax. We remain as we are. If that is standing, then terrific. We are on bracketed page 146. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us, and the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works, and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Page 154, please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננת לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158. Yai lai 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 yai la 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 ya la lai yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai la lai la lai la yai la 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 ya la lai yai la lai la ya la 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedor b'kodesh, norah tehilot get ready to offer this prayer, and the Hebrew is on 160. It's a prayer for shelter, and it's a prayer for safety, and it's a part of our liturgy that we only offer at night in order to be able to sort of, I think, lean into this moment of feeling safe or praying for safety. It just helps to take that pause that Shabbat offers us, to sort of notice the parts of our week that made us maybe feel unsafe in all the ways that we can in our lives feel unsafe physically or emotionally or spiritually or professionally or whatever those moments of challenge were. To see them and to remember how you got yourself through them and around them and, fix them maybe, or at least patch them up so that you could move to safety again. And to imagine a place, to remember a place, to picture a place or people with whom you feel safe. What does shelter feel like? And how can we help extend that shelter of peace to more people in our orbits?
This night time to lie in peace. May we rise to new life each day. Let there be shelter for the broken-hearted, a shelter of peace for all. And guard our going, our coming home, filled with life and peace from now and ever on. And let there be shelter for the broken-hearted, a shelter of love for all, a shelter of love for all.
Take a deep breath for Shabbat. Page 164, please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Bekonei HaKol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Umevii Gila lifnei v'neihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Mashiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Elohim Abraham Bezrat Sarah. Ata Gibor Le'olam Adonai, B'chayei HaKol Ata, Rav Le'oshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chaim B'chesed, B'chayei HaKol B'rachamim Rabim, Tzomech Noflim V'rofei Cholim, U'matir Asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar Bichamocha bal gevurot Umido melach Melech memit umechaye Umatzmiach Yeshua Bene'eman ata lehachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Bechayei hakol Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom ya'alelu chasela. Baruch ata Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
We continue privately through pages 180 and 181. You may do so standing or sitting as is your custom. Our Torah portion this week is called Tazria. And it's not usually a Torah portion, especially that young women clamor to be given when they are assigned their Benot mitzvah dates. And the reason for that is because it has a lot of details in it about how to exist in a sacrificial cult system. No, I don't mean cult in a bad way. I mean that was sort of the system of the Israelites at the time of the Torah, particularly when we have to deal with bodily emissions, and particularly around the number of days that we are to remain pure or impure, and how we sort of re-enter society after childbirth, right? So there's a lot of stuff in here that on first read is, let's say, not exciting. Would you say that was a fair first read of your Torah portions? At best? Yeah. So, by the way, that would be true if it were young men or young people. I mean, it's not the easiest part of the Torah to have to wrestle with, but it actually is a very fulfilling part of the Torah to study, because what is there for us is not just the story that we know, right? That this is sort of the stuff of living Jewishly and making meaning out of texts that can be complicated. So I want to offer I'm going to say a third reading, because we're going to get 2 awesome readings tomorrow morning on what to do when we encounter this kind of Torah in the Torah, and how it might actually help us, make meaning, make entry, make connection in life today. So certain bodily emissions can push us away from other people, right? That's sort of part of the premise of this part of the Torah portion. In particular, what is discussed at the very beginning of the portion is blood that will come after childbirth, right? But lots of different bodily emissions are discussed in this week's Torah portion. And the question is, why is this in the Torah? That's one of the questions, is why does the Torah care about what our bodies do and what our bodies make and what our bodies produce and give out and all that stuff? And I would say on a most basic level, the Torah cares about us, right? And so it's not that this is gross or maybe demeaning, even, that the way some people read it. It's that the Torah is actually about like the stuff of real life, which is kind of yucky sometimes to deal with. They're kind of messy, or not all stories of matriarchs and patriarchs and sort of covenants in the big sort of way that we think about the Torah, right? Now, if you want to know if the Torah is related to our everyday, day-to-day lives, then the answer is actually right in some of these sections that are really hard for us to understand, particularly today. So maybe that gives you some solace in sort of what our text aims to do for us. Rabbi Aviva Richman, who's been writing this year's Divrei Torah for Hadar, wrote this week about, in particular, one of the offerings, the sacrificial offerings that the Israelites are commanded to bring, in particular that women are commanded to bring after childbirth, and sort of offered an important way to understand this piece. So one thing you have to understand if you haven't read this part of the Torah is that the Judaism of Leviticus does not really resemble our Judaism, right? Because the people are in the wilderness, they're traveling from having left Egypt, they're getting to Israel, they are working in kind of a makeshift mikdash, which is like a traveling sanctuary. And even when they get to Israel and they build the capital T temple, their way of connecting with each other and with God will be through sacrifice at the beginning, while the temple stands, right? So there are, recipes, the way we sometimes think about them, for different parts that happen in life, things to say thank you, things to say I'm sorry, things to say things are swell, whatever it is, right? That the sacrifices, the offerings, are their way of communicating with God and with each other, right? People know what each of them mean. So the particular offering that's described in this week's Torah portion sort of makes sense in that larger context. So this particular offering is if you just were to translate it on the surface, it's a chatat, it's a sin offering. But Rabbi Richman sort of invites us to imagine that this is outside of the sort of realm of regular sin, right? And it has nothing to do with actually having been sinful or guilty of anything, especially because we are talking about childbirth. but rather it refers to a moment that can be destabilizing for us, right? That can require reorienting. The same way that we might need that reorienting if we have sort of lost our way. That for those of us who have birthed children, we know, or if you lived with somebody who birthed children, or you were close to somebody who birthed a child, it is a destabilizing event. It is an event for which we need reorienting, because in essence, everything has changed in our physical bodies and the way that our responsibility in the world relates, right? Everything is different. We are literally physically destabilized, but also often emotionally, socially, spiritually destabilized, right? Things have changed. So this kind of an offering says, whoa, something significant has changed. And now, in order to recognize that and not to just sweep it under the rug, like as if you could just go back to the way you were, we're going to make this ritual. And it's the same ritual that we might have if something else has destabilized us. And it's going to actually allow us to come back in. It's going to give us a direction, an entry, a path for how we might re-engage in a world that kind of looks like the one we left it, but we ourselves are maybe not exactly the way we were when we left it, for better or for worse, right? It could be because you gave birth and things are exactly as you thought it would be and it's wonderful. It could be because you had a stillbirth, or you had a miscarriage, or you gave birth and it's not what it looked like it was going to be in the movies that we watched growing up, right? Because it's very hard, or you have postpartum depression, or you don't have support around you, or you're not feeling connected to your baby, or you're a partner, in this case supporting somebody, and you're not really sure where to put yourself, right? There's a million ways that this could destabilize what was once stable. So I want to just lift up two things here that actually invite us back into seeing the gift of Torah, especially when they seem very abstract and disconnected. Having the offering for this moment articulates that there is a need for reentry and a need for a ritual for reentry, and doesn't just expect, in this case, that a woman who has given birth or a person that has given birth will be able to just be again, right? The way I think our world kind of does, especially here where we don't have the same kind of protection for family leave, where in some places you're expected just to go back to work a few weeks after having given birth, which is impossible, although some people do it. So right here we have in the Torah a statement that says that you just went through something that is destabilizing. And we, the collective, need to figure out how to help you get back. And we don't do sacrifice alone, right? This is one of these communal activities. We need priests, we need community around us, we need people to eat the meat after we've brought it, right? It is by nature a communal activity. So I would love to invite you to think about, in our post-sacrificial Judaism, which, by the way, I would say is a good thing. I'm glad that our world doesn't revolve around, rams and things like that anymore. But we lost the structure. Right? That was the good thing about sacrificial Judaism. You had this situation, you had this offering. You were in this situation, you went to this offering, and everybody had the same rule book. But we don't have the offerings anymore. And so we don't have the pieces in place to say, we know what this issue is and we know how to help. So first we've lost the language to articulate that an event was destabilizing. And then we've lost the tools to help people re-enter. So, not a rhetorical question, and you can answer on live control or here. What are the moments in life that need articulation now? Things that are destabilizing, that don't have sort of a communal acceptance that this is something that needs its own articulation of something that could be hard. If you were going to create a ritual to mark something that is sort of not every day. I mean, it might happen to all of us, but that requires a moment of pause and articulation. What would it be? Re-entry after what? I made a list of a couple in case, you couldn't come up with any. Grayson. COVID. Good. That was on my list too, right? So Grayson said COVID. And that's a really important one because there is stigma around COVID diagnoses still. And I Want to remind you that when my family tested positive with COVID, we told everybody, we told you we had COVID, not because we thought you had gotten it from us, because I hadn't seen you in weeks at that point, but because there's still secrecy around people who get COVID, and there's still a sense that like we're bad or we've done something wrong around illness in general, around mental illness in particular, and in some cases still around COVID. How do we help people re-enter when they've been out and maybe they haven't been able to catch up or work or go to school the same way, or they have long COVID or they're still caring for people? So great, good. Grayson started. That means the rest of us can surely come up with awesome. Grayson's got more. I love it. Maybe surgery, right? Maybe there are certain kind of surgeries that we have that take a physical or emotional toll on us that is not automatically visible, and we need different support, sort of re-entering. I love that. Nice job, guys, with that one. Mr. April Fool's joke. Jackie, do you have a hand up back there? Empty nesting, beautiful, right? That's a great one. So all of a sudden we're accustomed to being anchored or tethered in the world in particular ways through kids. And now we maybe have to figure out how to re-enter without our primary identity somewhere being as known through parents. That's definitely true at the synagogue. If your connection here was through your child, through bar and bat mitzvah, through whatever it was, then finding a new connection somewhere could be very hard to walk in without the excuse of a kid or something, right? Beautiful. What else? Yeah. Bullying. Yeah, how do we go back somewhere when we've been treated really badly or dangerously or unkindly somewhere else? Right? What's the sort of mechanism for welcoming somebody back in and saying, actually, this is a safe space, right? So let's see, Felicia says losing a job or moving or losing a family member, right? Another way that like something in our identity shifts meaningfully and we have to figure out how to reconnect. So you got the idea, right? I hope that this will continue to help you keep thinking about all of this. Many of these are not topics we talk about all the time, especially topics that we talk about as things that can be destabilizing, because we've lost a lot of our common language around the impact of that, or even what that is, right? And so we read a Torah portion like this and we think, ooh, blood and emissions and, childbirth. And then we rightfully sort of wonder why the different rules around childbirth exist, but we've missed right now that there's a conversation happening where actually we can see that women are experiencing something that the Torah has taken an awful lot of words to write about when they're in the Torah is very sparse about other things, and to offer us a way to help people back in. And that's for us to figure out now in the post-priest, post-sacrifice world, right? Even in our small bubbles, what are the things we need to name? And then how do we help people re-enter? How do we make it easier for them to have shared communal expectations? By the way, it was not just on the person herself to do it, right? How do we unite around people and say, we're going to walk with you back in, because we know that this thing that happened to you, whatever it is, may have caused you or did cause you to feel outside, and it's really important. You are so important that this is the way that we're going to help you get back. So I hope that this week you'll start to notice some of those opportunities for articulating what maybe is sort of otherwise implicitly or explicitly silenced, and then help name it, even saying it to somebody, and then figure out how to help them walk back with you. So Grayson talked about illness as one of the things that often we need help re-entering from, and one of the ways that we try to destigmatize illness or fear about illness or wellness is by offering names out loud when we are praying for somebody who's sick, and by offering a prayer each week for people who are struggling with illness, all kinds of illness, physical, spiritual, mental, whatever it is. So in the middle of this prayer, which is on bracketed page 371, you'll have the opportunity to share the names of anybody you are holding dear or praying for this evening.
Mi shebera
like to share the name of anybody you are praying for, holding dear this evening, I just invite you to call out their names now. To these names, we add Eileen Andriano, Trisha Anstey, Debbie Becker, Danielle Ben Karen, Stephen Burmack, Mark Berezin, Marty Berglass, Susie Bernardo, Suzanne Broder, David Brover, Stephen Brundage, Ken Cohen, Richard Cohen, Hugh Dugan, Juanita Douglas, Gail Eisen, Henach Ben Naftali Miriam, Eliezer Ben Tanina, Marvin Friedman, Diane Fox, Betsy Galopo, Susan Goodstadt-Levin, Jill Gordon, Diane Hall, Seymour Hurwitz, Ed Joyce, James Kaufman, Jerry Kearns, Barry Kessler, Ed Conowitz, Kit Corlos, Pauline Lever, Larry Levine, Beverly Lewis, Michelle Levy, Lucy Macaluso, Bernice Males, Matt Mascari, Bella Miller, David Miller, Brendan Osis, Andrea Pakin, Randy Ringler, Richard Sauer, Stephen Schletter, Shirley Schnitzer, Mindy Schwartz, Gail Seiden, Albie Sherman, Shmuel Ben Blanca, Joanne Siegel, Adam Sifre, Carol Simon, Bob Sonnenklar, Paul Stadifora, Todd Robert Staritz, Ira Sugarman, Erica Summers, Gina Tahilia, Karen Untig, Goni Vardy, Joyce and Stephen Weinberg, Noah Wiesenek, Teddy Wool, Anastasia Woodford, and Yaakova Bluma Bat Tova Menucha. Page 586, the lower half of the page, please rise.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latik delalitzer breshit, shelo asanu k'vei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpechat ha'adama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamanam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim modim, lifnei melech malchei hamachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Page 591 in the middle of the page, please be seated.
Ve'emar Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo echad.
Page 598. We remember with love our loved ones whose yahrzeit falls on this Shabbat or during this time of year. In our community, we remember Charles Adler, Joel Barnert, Miriam Barnert, David Bauer, William Boyarsky, Evelyn Brooks, Russell Chapman, Sarah Dunn, Rose Goodkin, Ida Halpern, Stephen R. Cates, Richard Keel, Irene Ruth Mohel, Myrna Nussbaum, Harold Polton, Max Reese, Irving Siegel, Harry Sorkin, Randy Spafford, Lila Tankel, Harry Weber, and Arthur Weinberger. During this period of Shloshim, we remember Ron Fagan, Kenny Mandel, Janet Griegel, Carmen Fernandez, and Judy Farber. We offer Kaddish this week as a larger Jewish community, and I just want to draw attention here to that we offered a few of these names last week too, to a total of 11 people who were killed over the last week in Israel in terror attacks. Not getting all of the press if you're not looking for it, but not all Jewish, most of them yes, but that in three sort of sleepy places, there were really terrible terror attacks this week in the midst of peace talks at least, or at least community building talks in the region that Israel was taking part in, and also as we head into this month where Passover, Ramadan, and Easter will all hang out this year. We need to not look away from what's happening in Israel and lift up the voices of people who are working to build relationships, and also make sure that we are noticing and drawing attention to what's happening there as well. This week we remember Amir Khoury, an Arab Israeli who was 32 years old, Rabbi Avishai Yechezkel, age 29, Rabbi Yaakov Shalom, age 36, Dmitry Mitrik, a Ukrainian citizen living in Israel, age 31, Victor Surkofut, also a Ukrainian citizen, age 23, living in Israel, Shir El Abiyukart, age 19, Vizen Falek, a Druze, age 19, Laura Yitzchak, age 43, Rabbi Moshe Karbitsky, age 50, Dorit Yachbas, age 49, and Menachem Yechezkel, age 67. And in their memory, we commit to being voices for peace and for community building in Israel. If there are others you are remembering on this Shabbat and I didn't offer their name, or I did, and you'd like to offer it now, please do so. Zichronam livracha, may the memories of all of our beloveds become blessing as we live, as we rise together as one community on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei, be'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari ve'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudashah b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'el kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all people everywhere. And we say together, amen. A couple of very quick announcements. The first is that if you are a Torah study regular, please note there is no Torah study tomorrow morning because Rabbi Steiner has two awesome families to celebrate with getting ready before the bat mitzvah. So I invite you to reflect on the Torah I offered tonight in lieu of our regular Torah study, and I apologize. We invite you, if you have joined the temple sort of recently, the last year and a half-ish, there's a new member meet and greet on Sunday morning here at 9:30. So that information was in your Friday email as well. And as we get into the spirit, what? Oh, the challah. Yeah, okay. We could have done that after my get into the spirit, but you're right. We otherwise would have forgotten it. And then I could have said it was an April Fool's joke for Grayson, but it wouldn't have been. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Okay, so now, thank you, Marina, as we get into the spirit of April, since we are here, and lots of awesome things are going to happen in April. We're going to celebrate lots of important things. We're going to get together. We're going to enjoy rituals that we don't get to enjoy all year long. And to help us get into the spirit of this wonderful month, we're going to offer a Don Olam, which you may not know can be sung to any melody, to a melody that helps us really get into this time of year. You can think about the kinds of things you'll be taking out and enjoying together as we head here.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yetzir Nivra Le'ed Nasa V'chepso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot Hagol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu
Shabbat shalom.